Welcome, Natalie. I say tentatively because the computer's crashed 3 times already, hasn't it?
Yes, good morning, Prinsley. But hey, as we said, things happen.
Things do happen, yeah. So we're both engaging in this interview with the apprehensiveness that it could cut out at any minute, but we're going to give it a go. So let's see.
Let's go for it.
Really, really nice to have you join me today for this conversation. Obviously, we spoke briefly last week, and I loved our conversation last week. I was full of energy afterwards, so I'm really looking forward to finding out more about you and your coaching practice.
Thank you, Prinsley. It was the same for me because it was the first time that we had a conversation, that we saw each other. And thank you for having me this morning.
You're so welcome. Yeah, it was the first time. I've seen your little thumbnail in the emails in the Animas world, but we haven't actually had a chance to meet because obviously we're colleagues, kind of. We work for the same employer. But let's do intros and then people can find out about you and what you do and who you are. So let's start with your professional context. Who are you as a coach and what do you do?
Okay, who am I as a coach? So I guess that who I am as a coach reflects my own journey in a sense. It's like really connecting with your inner self. Yes, because it was a journey for me. And I think that now when I work with different individuals, professionals, it's all about coming again, developing this relationship with yourself. And people can come towards me, they feel maybe overwhelmed, they feel stuck, they can have different things going on in their life. But what I'm helping, really the goal for me is to help them to reconnect within themselves and to go to a place where they have clarity, control maybe in a sense also, and peace.
Thank you. Yeah, I saw those words on your website when I looked at your programs: clarity, control, connection, some themes that were coming through. So that's a little bit about, I guess, the way that you coach or the type of work you do. And maybe we can unpack that later on. In terms of like the makeup of your business, do you do supervision, coaching? I'm aware that you're a coach mentor or an ICF mentor for Animas. What else does the makeup of your business look like?
Yes, so the makeup of my business is I have my own practice, so my own clients, it's one-to-one. After I'm a mentor, as you have just mentioned it for Animas. And after I'm working with different organizations as a coach, so they're sending me virtually into different companies. And there is one specifically I have been working for a while now, it's Sanctus, where it's more about mental health. And I have been working, it was 2 years ago, with another company which was more working with startups. So yes, so it's about coaching, mentoring, supervision. I haven't put myself out there so much. I have used these skills. I'm using these skills all the time in my mentoring space, but I haven't put myself out there yet.
So you're a qualified supervisor as well?
Yeah.
Got you. And you said you're working with organizations. I guess you have a one-to-one practice where you work with clients outside of those organizations, or is all of
Yes.
your work via?
Yes, so it's really because if we go a little bit into details, actually I haven't begun with coaching. So I was working one-to-one before with people, but not in the capacity of coaching. And then after it was coaching. And actually the makeup of the business has changed a lot since the pandemic, because before I was working essentially face-to-face, Prinsley, and since then everything is done online.
That's quite a big transition, I guess.
Yeah, especially when you have in mind that actually it might be different. I had this belief that working online would be completely different, that I won't sense what I sense when I have a person in front of me. That was my own limiting belief, because it's not the case.
Oh, that's good to hear. And the work that you're talking about, I think I know about that work because I've had a look at your website and we had a brief chat. But you used to be, or you still are, I don't know which, but you can correct me. You used to be into Reiki, a Reiki healer, mindfulness practitioner. Is that still part of the work you do? And that is the work that you're talking about, right? When you're just previously working with people one-to-one.
Thank you for asking, because I might not have been clear. Yes, exactly. It's about really offering reflexology, Reiki, and meditation mindfulness courses also.
Gotcha. Thank you. And is that part of the work that you do now, or have you stepped away from that and purely coaching?
I went away, but it doesn't mean that I won't go back to that.
Okay.
It's more because at that time I was renting a room, Brinsley, so it was really easy to receive people, to have my courses. I mean, I guess that my courses, I can still have them online. But yeah, I went away and I was concentrating more around coaching and other stuff.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So before we look backwards and then look at your business building journey, I'd love to hear from you your distinctions between the work you do in your one-to-one practice, the work you do with your organizations, and then the work that you do within ICF mentoring with Animas. Because I think there is distinctions, particularly within coaching and ICF mentoring. And it might be useful for the listeners to understand what it is you actually do for Animas in that ICF mentoring capacity and how it differs from the other work.
Yeah, thank you. So yes, so when I work in my private practice with people, is coaching, essentially, because we can also come back to that. When I work with organizations, is coaching also. So it's pure coaching. When I work with students in the mentoring space, that's different. Mentoring is different because I bring my experience in the room, and actually my role is really to support people to become a coach, to really develop their skills, their coaching skills. Aligned, obviously, I'm wearing the glasses with an ICF, ICF lens, where we can see, because it has to be aligned with the competencies of ICF. So it's a little bit, yeah, it's completely different. Mentoring is different, but it's all about really supporting people to go there, to develop as a coach. And I love that work.
Yeah, I bet. So it's a real specific skill set that you're doing when you work with Animas, and that's the ICF mentoring. And something I always usually say, which is kind of high level, the distinction for me between, I mean, classical terms of coaching and mentoring is that coaching is drawing out and mentoring is putting in. And then when we look at ICF mentoring, it's very much specific to ICF core competencies, like you say. How does the coaching work match up to that? And that's the work that you're doing, right?
Yes, completely. We really have this lens of ICF competencies. So how do we do? And also the space, the mentoring space, I see it like a collaborative space for me. It's like, okay, you come in, you are kindly sharing with me one of your coaching recording. We will listen to some parts of it. But it's more about a pretext to have discussions about what is going on there in that moment, what was going on maybe for you in that moment, and really taking from there, learning from there.
Mm-hmm. Nice. And what is it about that work that's important to you?
What is it important for me? For me, it's like, it's about this supporting bit for me, really helping the person to develop through the discussions, through what we are seeing, noticing. It's about, yeah, being able to help the person to develop as a coach.
Lovely. Thank you. So I've got this picture of you now that you used to be a practitioner in the reflexology, Reiki, mindfulness, and you moved over to coaching when the pandemic hit and things all went online. Is that correct?
Partly, I would say. What has happened is that before coaching, yes, it's right. But that was, I got my diploma in coaching, I think it was in 2015. So I went with the coaching, and after things have happened, and obviously the pandemic, I think it was 2019, I think. So, or 20, I don't remember. Time, it's like time since then has flown away. So yeah, I don't know. But to respond to your question, yes, I changed my career. I was offering services, reflexology, Reiki, and meditation mindfulness after I went through to get my coaching diploma. And then after a few years, with the pandemic, I'm just concentrating on coaching and mentoring at the moment.
I got you. I'm following now. Thank you. And what type of people do you coach in your coaching practice? I understand the mentoring piece and the work that you do with organizations.
So people who are coming towards me are professionals, because I have a background of 20 years in the corporate world, in events and communications. So yeah, I'm working essentially with professionals, busy professionals who might go through the same thing I went through, where I arrived to a moment where I did not like what I was doing anymore. I felt stuck. I was not anymore engaged. So yeah, they can come towards me with different circumstances, I would say. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I have completely responded to your question here, Brinsley.
I'm starting to get a picture. So you've got this lived experience of being in a corporate environment for 20 years. And then becoming less engaged, not really enjoying what you're doing. I've also got the benefit of reading your website this morning, so I get a bit of an understanding of, you spoke about being in midlife as well, and also being in a job that you don't want to be in, and perhaps not living your life in a healthy, mindful way, as some of the topics that came up. So I guess that's kind of the work you're doing, but maybe you can expand on that for me as well.
It is the work, yes. And actually, when you said midlife, yes, because when I was nearly 40 years, I took a sabbatical here. And from there, after this sabbatical here, I went back to my job in Paris. And what has happened is that I was transitioning to what I wanted to do. So it took a while, obviously. So yes, so I think that in my private practice, people, they are professionals. But what I have been seeing lately is that I am attracting maybe more youngsters maybe at the moment, which is nice also, so which is different. And also in my work with the different organization, that could be, any person. It could be the CEO, it could be a manager, it could be another person, it could be anyone in the company who comes in with anything. I never know what they are coming in, which I've learned a lot from that work also, Brinsley.
The variety must be interesting.
Yes, completely. And with different topics, really different topics. You never know. So obviously certain people are coming back, so we build this coaching relationship, but sometimes people are just coming once or two times with a specific topic that they want to tackle, and we don't see them anymore.
So there's some single session coaching going on there rather than a block of 6 or a journey over a program.
Yes, so obviously how you manage them is a little bit different also, because it's like building relationship in the first instant, and you have some time together, and yeah, it could be a little bit different, I think, because it's like having this sense of, okay, we do our best in the moment with the person, but also having in mind, not being attached, that we might not see them again.
That's different, isn't it?
Yeah.
And how do you manage that?
I guess that it's about being in the moment, entering the session, being with the person fully in the moment. We have 50 minutes together. That's one of the organization. We have 50 minutes, and give the best, and being there with the person and following them what they want to achieve through the 50 minutes together.
Yeah, being in the moment is so important, right?
Yes, yes. And sometimes, and it's a work in progress, I would say, because we are humans, and sometimes it's like our little brain can, go away, or things can come in, which is normal, really normal. So it's about noticing and allowing ourselves to come back to the person.
Mhm. Thank you. So I'm building this picture of you now that, and I like to chronologically track, because these interviews are around your personal journey to building the coaching business or coaching success. So I'm just going to reflect back to you what I'm hearing. You're a coach who works for organizations. You have a one-to-one practice. You also do ICF mentoring for Animas. Previously, you had a corporate career that went about for 20 years. You became disengaged in that career for one reason or another, retrained in reflexology, Reiki, mindfulness, and then trained as a coach in 2015. And since then, you've been moving more towards coaching, and now you're purely coaching in those spheres since the pandemic. So that's about coaching for about 7 years since Animas qualification. I assumed you qualified with Animas.
Yes, you do assume well. Thank you. And thank you for this summary. Good listening skills here, Brinsley.
Yeah, hopefully the ICF are listening. I can send this into my recording. Right. So that's a little bit of professional context about you. And I really want to unpack some of that, particularly that journey about stepping away from the corporate career. But before we do, I'd love to know a little bit more about you, the human being. So who are you as a human being?
Who am I? That's a vast question. Who am I? So when I was a little girl, I was extrovert. I'm quite bubbly. I have a tendency to see the glass half full. I have my downs, as everyone. But yes, and I like connections. I like connecting. If I look back, and all what I have during my careers, I was working with people. I was all the time in contact with people, connecting with people, working in teams, working with different people around the world when I was organizing events, telecommunications events. So yes, I don't know. What can I say more than that? I'm really curious. I love asking questions. I love trying new things. One of my value is learning. So I like to put myself out of my comfort zone, even if it's scary, but I feel alive when I do that. And I'm curious about people. I love having this interaction with people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I read your values on your website. I really enjoyed it. It was a nice picture of, well, a little bit of a snapshot of who you are. And I guess that another part of the question as well is, I'm really interested in why you do what you do. What is it about you and perhaps your past experiences, your formative years, that has you being a coach now, and perhaps had you moving towards Reiki and mindfulness, and ultimately in one way or another serving others?
Yes. So for me, it's making a difference. So working with people. So in my career, I was working, as I have mentioned, in communications and events. So in contact with people, we were working together, having the same goal. And then when I went out from this path, I decided, after the sabbatical here, I wanted to work still with people one-to-one, but I wanted to bring something else, because I was all the time working on myself, going through different courses, really having a sense of who I was, who I am. And I went through different workshops, different retreats. I do remember one time, Brinsley, I went to this retreat. I was 30 years old, and I said to my mom, "Oh, I'm going there for a week." And she was looking and said, "Are you sure it's not a sect, Nathalie? Are you sure you're coming back?" Because at that time, it wasn't developed as it is now. I said, "No, ma'am, I trust the person, everything will be fine." So I went through a journey, and I guess that I I don't remember your question now, actually, because I'm talking too much, maybe.
No. It's keep going. But I think I was asking about what it is about you as a human being that's had you show up and do this role, and perhaps what it was about your formative years or your early life that's created who you are and why you're serving people professionally now.
Yeah, and actually what comes up for me, it's a memory of my mom reminding me that when we were, I have a brother. We have just 10 months and a half difference, so very close to each other. And when we were little, we were playing around 8 years old. We were playing to two things. When we couldn't go out, playing out there, we were in and we were playing two games. One, we were pretending to have a restaurant. So my brother was cooking and I was taking care of the customers. But the other thing is that we were teaching. So we were pretending, be in a room and teaching and talking to, with ourselves. And actually my brother became a chef. And I guess teaching is not what I do. But if we are taking that a little bit further, it's like I'm working with people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this was a game you used to play when you were younger and you were the teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah, and lots of teachers come into coaching. I guess teaching is being of service in a way anyway, right? It
Yes.
is people development, a slightly different modality, right? Maybe not self-actualizing all the time, but
No.
so this is what you were doing when you were younger. You were pretending to be a teacher, and then you found yourself disillusioned in this corporate role after 20 years. You mentioned a sabbatical a couple of times. Can you tell me a little bit about that? I'd love to kind of track it now from then moving forward.
Yes. So one thing that I would like to add is that I was and I am grateful for all these years in the corporate world, because I've learned a lot. And I guess that I was able to take this sabbatical here because, it's a journey. So I was able to take this sabbatical because I was happy with what has happened. But at the same time, I was not feeling engaged anymore. I feel stuck. I was working a lot. My work was really essential to me. And actually, it was like the only thing. There were other things around. My family and my friends are very important to me, for instance. But yes, I didn't feel that I was anymore. It wasn't fulfilling me anymore. And the sabbatical here, I do remember when I went to see my boss and I was asking him, okay, I would like to take a sabbatical, because big companies, you have this opportunity where you can take a sabbatical. So it's maximum 11 months, or you can take less. And they can't say no. I mean, they can say no the first time, but not the second time. So I got the sabbatical. I put some money on the side. And for me, it was the first time ever I went out of working. I wasn't working during 11 months, but I did a few things, because I will tell you. So my aim was to take some time for myself, to take some distance with what I was doing, and really give myself time to reconnect with myself, and also to reassess where was I at that time? What is it that I wanted to do following that period? And I've decided to take some time with my grandparents who were still alive in the east of France. And after I took my backpack, and I have walked from Portugal to Spain. So that was the St. James Way by myself, but you are never by yourself because you are meeting other people. And you remember, I've met these two lovely English ladies where they were walking better than me. They were really there. So that was lovely. And after I came here in London, and I spent 6 months in London, I joined an art school because one of my hobby was playing with clays, and I wanted to play a little bit more, and also play with other materials as glass, as stone. And obviously living in London is quite expensive. So I was doing a little bit of of little work sometimes, just to make sure that the money on the side was still there, that I wasn't, going over the money I put on the side. So really it was a period of doing what I wanted, in a sense, reconnecting and asking myself, what's next? What's next? What is it that, Nathalie, you would like to do? What are you really attracted to? And it's following this period that I went back to my job, and I had a discussion, and it was about, okay, I would like to leave the company, but not right now. And following that, I was traveling during weekends and weeks during my holidays to get the diplomas, which are recognized here. So when I was doing nutrition, I have forgotten also that I have a diploma in nutrition. So nutrition, reflexology, Reiki, I was on that journey before, but I continued. And meditation, mindfulness, I came here. I came here during holidays and weekends to be trained.
Wow. That sounds like a real watershed moment for you then, I guess, the sabbatical.
Yes. And obviously that's my own journey. I wouldn't say to anyone, take a sabbatical. No, that's not my point here. It's just to say that was my own journey there and then. It was what I needed at that time. And it helped me to really reassess and to take some decisions.
Mm-hmm. It's really interesting to hear you talk about recognize your previous career and how useful that was for you at getting you where you are now and all the skills that you learned there. Because I think that is a really important part in many coaches' roles or careers, is recognizing what's gone on before and the skills that we're bringing into the space from these previous careers, whatever they might be, because they do really lay the foundations for who we are and the professional skills we have, right?
Totally, Brinsley. And also we are attracting other human beings. So it's not only, the title coach that they are interested in. They are interested in the person. What was, yes, where do you come from? What is your makeup? Maybe as a professional, the skills that maybe you have developed. So it's like we are a story of who you are. We are not just a title.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. And because ultimately no client really enrolls outside of a conversation, and a big part of that conversation is find out about who you are as a coach, and that might be through reading your website and finding out about your values and the fact that you're into Latino music and making clay and you did the St. James's Walk. So there is this whole story that gets built around you as a professional, and people are attracted to that for one reason or not attracted to it, and that's fine. But I guess it's being clear about who you are can be so beneficial when it comes to building a coaching practice.
I think, yeah, it is really important. And sometimes maybe at the beginning of when, yes, maybe at the beginning I was acknowledging all my past and what it brought me, but I wasn't putting it out there. Maybe, I wasn't sharing it. Now I'm more than happy to share it and to put, who I am, what I was doing before, what it brought me, because as you said, who I am now is because I had all this experience, all what has happened in the past until now.
Mm. So you were reflecting in this sabbatical about what next. Do you remember the moment when you decided that Reiki, mindfulness, meditation, working with people in that way, do you remember any moments of reflection when that really came through?
It was a process, I would say. There wasn't any specific moment, Brinsley. It was more of a process because I was journaling quite, not every day, but quite often. So it was a process. And through journaling, it was like I was going or coming to that. And maybe there was a moment, but I don't remember, where I said, okay, that's it. I'm going back to my work, but I'm clear about what is next for me.
Mm-hmm.
And clear about what is next. Even when I say that, it's like, really, Nathalie? it was like an attraction to go there, to, you know, to change what I was doing. But I didn't know the destination. It was like, yeah, I'm attracted to that. I would love to work with people within these modalities, but I didn't know more than that.
Mm-hmm. And then coaching. Any specific moments when you decided to be a coach? What did that look like?
So when I was working with my clients, Brinsley, there was a sense that I could help them more. Because when a person comes towards you, you're asking questions, you have a discussion. And I could see that I could maybe, you know, be of service there. But I didn't have the tools. So before choosing coaching, I asked myself, do I want to be a psychologist maybe? You know, because I had this in my past. I went to see a psychologist. I have done so many work on myself and work with different people with different modalities that I was asking, or counseling, you know, said, no, I don't want that. And maybe also because it was quite a longer journey to get there. I said, no, I would like to go with coaching. And actually I found Animas. I went to this introductory day. It was in person at that time. And here we are. I went for it.
Yeah, here we are, 7 years later.
Yeah.
I guess you're glad you made that decision, right?
Yes, that was really a good decision, because now from that moment, I could also coach in the first 2-3 years, even more, 4-5 years, no, 3-4 years maybe. I also mix, not mixing, but offering. For instance, I had some clients who came, so it was face-to-face. They had coaching and they had Reiki. So I was offering different things, different modalities. And I had some clients who loved that, who loved, you know, maybe having the coaching sessions first, or maybe the Reiki session or the reflexology, and then the coaching session. So I was able to give more variety in my work and more choices to my clients at that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, unique offering.
Yeah.
I'm curious, why are you not doing that anymore? The Reiki and the meditation, the mindfulness.
Thank you for asking that. Actually, I think that since the first lockdown, I was still renting my room, and I've decided after a few months that it's preferable to leave it. So I couldn't see, because reflexology, Reiki, essentially, I prefer work, you know, you need to see. I mean, Reiki, you can do that by a distance, but I haven't chosen that way. So you had to see the person. So it wasn't possible. Today, I like working online because it brings me freedom. I can work from anywhere, and I like that. I must admit, I like that. Will I come back to these offers? Maybe, but not right now.
Who knows? We'll see, hey?
Yeah, who knows?
Thank you for quelling my curiosity. So you're building your practice from 2015. I'd love to kind of find out a little bit more about how you built your practice now and what that looked like practically, but also maybe emotionally for you as an individual that was becoming self-employed and embarking on a new career. What themes come up for you when I say that?
It was not an easy journey. Because I do remember, Brinsley. Let's put things into context. When I left the corporate world, my company, I came here, so across the channel. So I was, you know, using another language, which obviously I was using in my previous job, but essentially I was in contact with people. It was their second language as me. So coming here, it was quite something. And also, it says, okay, I'm working now with, it's new for me. I might have some qualifications, but I didn't have any experience. I had to put myself out there. It was like horrifying for me. I have to put myself out there to sell my services and to be seen. Not sure of that. So it was really not easy. And also the other part, it was the financial part also, where I have to be honest, is that from a work where you had, every month you have something dropping into your account and suddenly nothing is dropping there. You have to go out there to generate the incomes. So it's a different mindset. And I don't come from a business perspective. So I had to learn, and there were ups and downs. But I would say, myself out there little, not so much. Actually, what I was doing was networking at that time, before coaching. So when I left the corporate and I was offering Reiki, meditation and reflexology. I was networking. I was a member of a woman network, which I don't remember the name right now. So that helped to build relationships, and also and through these relationships, people can refer you to other people. So how it worked at that time. So that was before coaching. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I forget the point that you actually were settling in a new country whilst you were building this back practice, as well as, I guess, building a practice not in your mother tongue. So those were some of the challenges for you that were going on at the time. And then, sorry, go on.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Okay.
Actually, what came up for me here is doubts. I was doubting myself a lot, Brinsley. And also I had in my mind, okay, who will come to see Nathalie with this French strong accent? I had a lot of self-limiting beliefs there. And it was really good that I worked on them, because otherwise, we say that we can be our worst enemy, which is so true.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned about putting yourself out there and that not being for you. And I think this is a huge challenge for lots of coaches, new coaches, existing coaches, about putting ourselves out there, telling the story, as you said earlier. Do you remember what it was like to start doing that for the first time?
Two things come up. One, it was firstly when I worked on my first website. And actually, this is the second one, and it's not updated. I would like to create a new one, which would be more reflecting who I am at the moment. That was the first thing, putting myself out there on the website, explaining who I was, etc. That was one thing. And after the networking, I have one thing in my mind, but I have other things, because again, I like to see the balance there. I do remember one day I went to this networking event, Brinsley, and I couldn't speak. I had to get up and to, in this sort of networking, you have 1 minute or 2 minutes or 30 seconds to introduce yourself. I was completely blocked, I said, oh my God, what has happened there? So I was able to say something, but it was terrible. And I do remember a man came to see me and said, you know what? You could be really good on a video. I can see you, which was really kind of him, because he was just coming, supporting me in that moment. I said, that's awful. So it was really okay. But because I am really who I am, I said, okay, that's not great. I'm not happy. I'm not proud of that. But hey, let's learn. Let's learn to, and it's about self-confidence. Let's learn and and again put myself out there. And after actually the networking I was attending, was able, yes, to share who I was, what I could offer, and also sometimes I was offered to talk about the topic, and yeah, it was fine. But I had to be persistent and also to work through what was holding me maybe back, Brinsley.
What was holding you back?
Fears of failing, fears of not being good enough.
Mm-hmm. The classics.
The classics.
So you just kept going in this networking group. You kept putting yourself up on stage and talking in public, and you noticed yourself building confidence and getting better at it.
Yes, and obviously I'm not talking about 100 people in front of me. No, it was about 30 people around that number. But I was and I am proud of where I was, what I have achieved so far, and I think it's not finished. It's just, it's just evolving, I would say.
Mm-hmm. So nice to hear that you're proud of yourself. Sounds like a really nice journey you've been on, personally and professionally, across these years. How did you get clients?
Okay, so at that time was around my networking and the relationships I have built, and also because I was renting this room, it was a practice, so there were other practitioners, so we were also putting some posts there, so I got people, clients from that. When the pandemic arrived, nowadays people are finding me. So I am also on the coaching directory, which has generated some inquiries. Not all of them decided to work with me, which is fine. So that was a good thing for me. But actually, if I'm thinking of, I'm not putting myself out there so much. And maybe that will change in the future. But I'm not the kind of person who will post regularly, etc. Yeah, I'm not there. It's not me in a sense, or maybe it's not. Maybe I haven't decided to do that fully yet, because other ways have worked for me. The word of mouth, the networking, and also the different organization I joined to work with them.
Mm-hmm. And has that always been the way? So I understand now you've got kind of 3 different spaces: your ICF mentoring with Animas, your work with Sanctus and another organization, and your one-to-one practice. But was that always the case at the start, or is this something that's evolved to be a sort of portfolio career within the coaching sector?
It has evolved, and it's still evolving, because things are not in what's the say, it's not set into a stone. It's all the time evolving, and obviously some parts of the 3 parts you have just mentioned might have been more prominent at some time. They were, and it's like some parts are less maybe in the front yet. So it's moving. It's all the time moving.
Mm-hmm. And I noticed you've got programs on your website, which was interesting to me, because some people do blocks of 6, blocks of 10 sessions. Some people do a 6-month or a 12-month program. Your programs have specific names, but you also just said earlier the website needs updating. So I don't know if it's still the case. But is that still the case? There's these programs on there.
Thank you, Brinsley, for asking this question. Actually, no, I'm not working anymore with programs.
Okay.
You see, not updated. So yeah, I'm more working. It's really tailoring the coaching session to the needs of the client. But at that time, when I was offering these programs, so the first program, it is not noticed, it's not mentioned, but when I have the conversation with the person who might be interested, the first program is purely, it's not coaching. It's about meditation, mindfulness. So it's not coaching. And then the others are coaching, and could be a mix, but I'm very clear with the client. I'm very clear with myself and with the client of what is it that I'm offering. But yeah, it's not the case anymore. So not updated yet.
Got you. Thanks. I probably should have checked that, shouldn't I, before we jumped on the call? I had a whole big section around your programs. Now we can roll with that. We can roll with that. So right now you meet the needs of the client. That's what you're saying. And I mean, what is your kind of theoretical stance then as a coach? What do you lean into? Anything particular? Jungian, mindset, neuroscience? What, anything that comes up for you when you think about that?
I'm curious, so I wouldn't tell myself that I lean to, to one side or the other. I like to work with paths. I like to. I had also some family constellations. I worked with constellations also, which is not the stars, but more about the dynamics in a family or in a company or within a teams. So I'm really interested by different aspects. So I would read, I would go on a course, and I will integrate that in how I show up in the moment for the person. And if something is coming up for me, I might offer it to the client.
Mm-hmm.
But
And
it's really self-centered, also person-centered, my approach.
Person-centered, okay. And you mentioned this earlier, but I can't, it came through there when you were talking. You're very much in the moment, aren't you, when you're with your clients? I get that. I get that in this conversation now. And then you just pull on the tools that you have as and when intuitively. And there are quite a lot of tools. I read the list of qualifications that you've got, and I noticed constellations in there as well as many other things. So you've got a wide toolkit to pull from, but really at its heart, it's humanistic and perhaps intuitive. Is that a fair summary?
Yeah, I would say that, yes. I work a lot with intuition. I'm a person, I'm sensing. From a child, when I was a child, I could sense. Even my mom said that when she was introducing me to a new person, I wouldn't go towards the person. I will observe, sense. And after I will go towards the person or not. So, so somewhere it's like, yeah, I'm quite in my body, and I think that I have developed that through different ways.
Mm-hmm. And I guess that kind of what led you to doing Reiki a little bit then, that nature that you had where you sensed and observed and tuned into energy.
Yes, yes. And that could be another discussion for another time, because that's also another thing about trusting yourself, trusting what is coming up for you in the moment. Yeah.
Mm. Okay. I'm going to jump about a bit here now because I just want to go back slightly to a point you made about not being good enough and fear when you were building your practice. And you mentioned how persistent you were and you kept going. But some people can drop off at that point when they're met with a hurdle, such as perhaps choking up in public speaking. What was it about you or the work that you did right there and then that kept you going?
I have a deep sense that I was doing what I meant to do in a certain way. I was on a path which was important. I knew that I was at the right place, if it makes sense. So for me, it was like, yeah, continue. And also, I must admit that I have worked with different people also along the way, coaches, psychologists, different people who helped me to go through that period, also to help me to understand and to go behind this period, and also tap into my resources, which now I'm helping other people to tap into their resources.
When you think back about your personal development, working with psychologists and coaches, are there any specific moments or specific practitioners that really supported you in overcoming anything?
I'm looking there because I'm thinking. I think that they all had not a specific person or modality. I think that when I have chosen in a moment that I will work with a coach or another person, it was what I needed in that moment. So they had all contributed to help me to move forward.
Mm-hmm. And building your business, when you look at the whole process over the last 7 years of building the coaching business, I heard about the themes that come up for you that are, I guess, maybe more of an emotional nature. But what about practicalities of building the business? What comes up for you when you think about that?
Good question. Practicalities. Yep, practicalities. It's about also putting systems into place, not complicated systems, but yeah, organizing. But that the business side was new for me, Brinsley. But all the what you can put into place to help you, that was okay, because I come from a place where we put systems into place to help you. So that wasn't so much of a problem for me. It was more about myself, putting myself out there, and I haven't done it so much. But yeah, it's like I had to, but there is maybe more to come, maybe or not.
Let's see. So as you look to the future, what is next for you? What's on the horizon?
So at the moment, we are working with other colleagues, coaches and supervisors around a retreat that we would like to offer. So that's quite exciting. And the other thing is that I would like to develop something which I'm not sure about yet, what it would look like, because I'm quite interested in all. It sounds, I don't know how you will react when I say it's about death, about impermanence and our own mortality. So there is something there that I'm quite interested in. And there is something, I don't know yet, so I don't know how to even articulate it at the moment, but it's something which really I'm drawn to. The other thing also is that in my work, and still I'm having some somatic experiencing sessions every month for quite now a while. So I'm still working on myself. I'm still going through different courses, because I love, I went through coaching with tarot, coaching with nature, using nature as a mirror. I love all that, all what is possible out there. So yes, there is something about mortality, about death. I don't know what it is yet, but there is something. And just at the moment, continuing what I do, but thinking about that, working with my colleagues around the retreat also, and see what is happening, because sometimes when you are in relationship with people, some opportunities might come towards you. You might have some ideas coming. So I keep it really organic in a sense.
Really fascinating to hear about that, and particularly about working with death. I know you said you couldn't articulate it, but I'm curious now. So I'm going to ask you, what is it about death that's attracted you to that topic right now?
It has been with me for quite a while, I must admit, Brinsley, but I was focusing on other aspects. I lost my grandma. It was already 12 years ago. I lost other people, but this grandma, I was with her until her last breath. I was really grateful for being there. She was at hospital, but I don't want to it sounds gloomy, not at all. I was really grateful. I could have been there because it was the right moment also to be there with her. And from that moment, I was really curious about, our own mortality, because she was holding a mirror to myself, to my own mortality here. And it's about, if I know that, if I have maybe more in mind that one day I will not be anymore here, how would that change my way to live or to see things, maybe? And also, when we talk about death, I mean, our cells are regenerating themselves every month, so they are dying and they are coming back. The life we are living, we are going through different periods of endings, beginnings. So it's there all the time, but it's about also having this in mind that, yeah, one day it can happen at any time. We might not be here anymore. So how can we live the best in between, you know? There is something, I don't know. So sorry, it's not clear, but I'm just sharing what comes up for me, Brinsley.
No, it sounded clear to me. It sounded really fascinating and really like an important moment for you to have that experience. It made me think of Ram Dass and the work that he does and some of the talks he gives around this topic. And I recently spoke to someone, I think who enrolled with Animas, who's interested in being a death doula. I don't know if you've heard of that term before. Yes. So it's a really interesting place to work as a practitioner and of course support people in that process.
Yes, death doula. There is also I mean, I have done a lot of research around that. I must admit, you have also a diploma in coaching with people who are dying. Yeah, there are different things in the United States. You have different things out there, yeah, to support people. But it could be supporting them towards, because they might have an illness and they might have a limited time. But how I sense it at the moment is more about how can we integrate, because when we are 20 years old, I didn't think about dying one day. You're full of life. So it's about how can maybe having that in mind can help you to live the best of your life. I don't know.
Well, it certainly brings up lots for us when we're faced with death and our mortality, whether it's via knowing someone that's passed or seeing it in the news or just being reminded that we are mortal. And in a way that can be a huge moment, a catalyst for us, or people that go through life-changing experiences where they could have died. So it could be a huge catalyst, right?
Yeah, it could be, exactly. It could be. But what I have seen is that sometimes, yes, people needed to go through terrible things to be able, to reassess their life. But maybe we don't need to go through terrible things. Maybe we can reassess our lives along the way, maybe.
Well, this is interesting, isn't it? The reasons why people transform or change. And like you said, do you need to go through that to change? And what was the catalyst? But that could be a deep dive for another time, I imagine.
Yes. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So when we look back at your business building journey from, let's say, 2015, what advice would you give yourself about to start the training and embark on this journey?
Trust yourself. Trust yourself. That's the have faith. Yeah, trust yourself. It's about really, because at the beginning I went through different marketing also, courses, etc. I had a business mentor. That's all great because I have learned. Yeah, not a problem. I have learned. But it's at the end of the day, it's coming back towards you and connecting within you. What is bringing you joy in your work? What is it that you are attracted to? And it's really by connecting within yourself to the external part that it will flow, in a sense. It's not about looking out there. It's more, connecting within.
And were there moments when you noticed you not trusting yourself in that process?
Yeah, there are moments. Yeah. And still, it's like, it's not, done. No. I'm still working on myself, Brinsley.
Love it. Thank you so much for sharing a little bit about your journey, who you are, the business building process you've been on. I really enjoyed speaking to you. I found your energy and your charisma really engaging. So thank you so much.
Likewise. Thank you so much also.
And my last question, where can people find you? Online, in person? How do people find you out there?
Thank you for asking. They can contact me because I'm quite open. I like to have conversations. So they can contact me. Obviously, there is my website, which, as you could see, is not updated. So my website, and you have my my email there, but I will let you know, is www.nathalie-roth.com. Or my email is natalie@natalie-roth.com. But I'm also on Facebook, not using it so much, LinkedIn. So yeah, you can find me quite easily, and I would be happy to have a conversation.
Lovely. Okay, well, let's wrap it up there. Thank you so much, Nathalie. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, and I hope that this little discussion might help out there.